The city of Lethbridge continues to grow and do well economically. Joining me now in studio to chat about that and other big topics here in the city is Lethbridge Mayor Chris Spearman. Welcome back to BCN, Mayor.
I'm happy to be here, Hal. It was great news to hear this week from the Conference Board of Canada. In the study of select middle-sized cities in Canada, Lethbridge came out #1 in economic growth, and I was delighted to hear that our economy remains strong.
We're humming along, and is that because we're more diversified than other Alberta cities that really rely on the energy sector?
It is exactly that, and I think a lot of people don't understand the stress that many Alberta cities have gone through, those that are relying on shipments of oil and the price of natural gas that has been really depressed for some time. Our diversified economy, which really is food-based, agricultural processing, value-added agricultural products, has been steady and strong in spite of some international challenges.
Yeah, the challenges with China, and they don't want a lot of the Canadian canola making their way there. But you say that's actually a good thing for our city?
Yeah, what that means is instead of exporting canola, we're processing it here. And that means adding value and creating employment here in Lethbridge.
What's the latest with Cavendish? $350 million expansion.
Yeah, it's actually that it's gone a little more expensive than they had anticipated, and the plant will open on October the 3rd, the official opening, and the final cost of phase 1 is $430 million.
Oh, why the cost overrun?
Well, basically there have been issues in some cases with imported steel tariffs and things like that. But generally the cost of new technology, it's a state-of-the-art plant.
What about some of the expansions, the other expansions here in Lethbridge, including the new Cor Van Ray YMCA, the bus shelter, you know, the new Science Commons building at the U of L? Can we expect more of this here as the city grows?
Well, the next few projects that would improve the lives of the citizens of Lethbridge are a convention center and a performing arts center. And those projects would have an impact on taxation. What we want to do is duplicate the success that we've had with our ATB Centre and with our downtown bus terminal and with the Yates renovation. What we want to do is attract federal and provincial investment. So our downtown bus terminal, which was close to 20 million, the City of Lethbridge contribution was about 25%, so a little over 5 million, so 25 cents on the dollar. And the remainder coming from the provincial and federal governments. Similarly with the Yates, our investment was about 1/3 of the total capital costs. So similarly, we want to get the federal and provincial government to support us. Another significant project that would improve the lives of residents of Lethbridge and area is investment in our airport, and we've been promoting that. So we want to qualify for federal funding to upgrade our airport terminal and our runways, and we want to make sure that if there are opportunities for provincial participation on things like a convention center or a performing arts center, that we attract those funds as well. We want to make sure that the funds don't all go to Calgary and Edmonton.
Now, the province mentioned recently $140 million over 4 years to help deal with the opioid crisis. How much of that can we expect to see here in Lethbridge? Will they go towards intox, detox, and counseling?
Well, what they're doing is talking about funding treatment and recovery beds, and they announced a specific number, which is 4,000. I would say on a population basis, anything below 200 beds for Lethbridge should be considered a failure. On a per capita impact basis, we have one of the most significant drug issues in the province, and we probably need something in the range of 300 to 400 treatment beds. So we'll be advocating to make sure that money doesn't all go into the big cities. And what we've been saying time after time is we need the same services that are already available in Calgary and Edmonton. We need to make sure that we have sufficient detox, sufficient intox. We need to make sure we have supported housing for people who have severe mental health and addiction issues. And Lethbridge needs to have the same level of service and the same quality of service as the big cities.
Some residents I've spoken to as well, Mayor, said they're really concerned about the increase in crime, that a lot of the drug addicts, the junkies are out there. You know, they don't have a lot of money, so they're stealing bikes, they're the bike chop shops, and they have to try and get their fix somehow, and then they go to Arches, or the safe consumption side at Arches to get, you know, the clean needles and inject the opioids, you know, fentanyl, whatever the case. So how do you deal with that? How do you respond with that, especially now that we don't have a permanent police chief in place?
Well, we have a police force in place, and we have an interim police chief, so we haven't abandoned the ship. We acknowledge that residents are concerned about crime, and we acknowledge that residents are very concerned about illicit drug use. So we've taken a number of steps, but certainly we began acting back in 2014 when Premier Prentice was the Premier, and we said we need detox, intox, and supported housing. We've been advocating for 5 years for those services. We saw drug use and crime increasing at that stage, and basically both of those doubled every year. It doubled in 2015, it doubled in 2016, doubled again in 2017.
Wow.
In 2017, we had Arches. They applied for a supervised consumption site, recognizing that we already had applications for intox, detox, and supported housing submitted. And as it happened, the federal government gave the green light to have a supervised consumption site in Lethbridge based on the data. The provincial government chose to fund it, but chose not to fund detox, intox, and supported housing.
So it was only part of the solution, right?
Only part of the solution. Now people are saying, well, the supervised consumption site caused the problem. In fact, the drugs were here. We saw the trend of doubling all the time, both in drug use and in crime. Petty crime has accelerated. What's happened is the cost of alcohol, $20 to buy a bottle. The cost of a meth hit, $5.
Right.
You know,
Cheap fix.
alcohol
Cheap buy.
wears off after an hour or two. Meth lasts for 13 hours.
Wow.
You know, so it's a huge challenge that we have. The fact that the issue was ignored for 4 years is a big problem because it's spiraled out of control. The supervised consumption site has done a number of things that are positive. The first one is clean needle distribution, which peaked in 2017 at 35,000 needles per month, clean needles distributed to the community, and now is averaging 7,000 to 8,000 a month since the supervised consumption site opened.
How is it, though, that it's one of the most widely used in all of North America, considering we're only 100,000 people here?
Because we have a massive drug problem
Right.
and severe social issues.
A lot of people are going back,
Yeah.
10, 12 times maybe
The
a
root-
day.
No, the root causes are homelessness and poverty, unemployment. We have significant issues with youth. So about half the users are young people. That we have to turn that around before they completely destroy their lives.
Right.
And so we have the supervised consumption site has put us in touch with 1,300 people who we didn't have a connection to before. The fact that those people have a connection to the health system now through the supervised consumption site is a good thing. And even though it's the most heavily used facility in North America, them having trust in the supervised consumption site is one step on the way to treatment and recovery. So we know who they are. And it's a regional service. No doubt there's people coming in. What I am very concerned about is the people that are dying, because they're the people that are afraid to use the supervised consumption site because of the stigma. They're families that I know. When I came here in 1981, I know there's people who are dying who my children affiliated with when they were growing up. I know prominent people in the community whose sons and daughters have died of overdoses. These are not the people who you think are the drug users. I've had mothers come into my office and tell me they don't know if their children, in their 20s and 30s, will be home for their birthdays.
That
They
is
don't
tragic, yeah.
They think that their child might be the next one to die.
How about the drug houses in town?
Yeah.
What are we doing to get
All
after
right.
those?
So we had a presentation from our police chief who said arresting a drug dealer is different than shutting down a drug house. And so there is an organization called Safe Communities and Neighborhoods. The problem is that service is only available from Calgary and Edmonton. So they have to come down here and monitor a drug house. We had notified, we're building a business case. We met with the Solicitor General yesterday. And we said, we have reported 93 drug houses in the city of Lethbridge in the last year and a half.
Wow.
And we've shut down one. There have been 27 drug houses identified so far in 2019. We need a permanent scan office in the city of Lethbridge. You'd be busier here than you are in Calgary. It's more important to have a permanent drug scan office in Lethbridge. We need to stop the supply of drugs. We need to shut down drug houses, ban their use for at least 6 months, and put severe restrictions on the use of those homes to the owners.
Now, City Council gave the go-ahead for Streets Alive mission to rezone property for transitional housing in residential area. Neighbors are concerned about properties being devalued. If that does happen, will the city offer any compensation? What's the plan moving forward?
Well, the plan moving forward is to see what happens. No neighborhood can be excluded from hosting a safe house for recovery. And what we've seen in the past is that Streets Alive has a strong record in this community of offering supported housing to recovering addicts. Most people don't know where those houses are, and their programs have been successful. So when you tell people that a supported house is coming into their neighborhood, there's a lot of fear. And we dealt with that fear on Monday night. People probably still don't believe it will have a minimal impact, but it will go forward. And we'll find that that if they maintain their record of success, and Streets Alive is very motivated to make sure this causes as few problems as possible, they will run this very tightly. And in the end, we hope that people will say a year or two from now, it wasn't as bad as I thought. In Edmonton, there was a facility called Ambrose Place that provided supported housing to people with severe mental health issues. There was a 2-year delay. There was a lawsuit. That lawsuit was defeated. Ambrose Place went ahead, and now 2 years later, the neighborhood is saying, it's not as bad as we thought.
Right.
You know, it's not an issue. In fact, you can build another one.
How well is reconciliation coming along? I know we have Oki now, which is the Blackfoot word for what? Welcome?
Yes.
And you're learning some other Blackfoot terms as well?
Yeah. Oki.
Oki?
Sanatapi.
Sanatapi. What is that?
That means, how are you?
How are you? Okay, I like that. What else you got?
Well, you're supposed to respond.
Okay.
Sakoki.
Takoki?
Sakoki.
Oh, Sakoki.
That means good.
Oh, good. Oh, there you go. Sakoki. I love that. That's great. That's awesome. So
is
reconciliation coming along?
Well, this is Reconciliation Week, and of course we have a number of events, in fact events every day, to celebrate reconciliation. So we've had, this is the 3rd time we've celebrated Reconciliation Week, and what we're trying to do is bring the community together. We're trying to overcome racism, and we want to promote understanding and respect. We want to live our city motto, which is Gateway to Opportunity, and that's Gateway to Opportunity for all who live here. When refugees come here, they see this as a wonderful place. We would like our Indigenous people to see our city as a wonderful place where they have equal opportunity to employment, equal opportunity to housing, and equal opportunity for their young people to survive and participate, a bright future for all. So this past week at our City Council meeting, I was very proud of our City Council when they unanimously endorsed adoption of the word Oki as the official greeting for the city of Lethbridge.
The city's looking for a new police chief since Rob Davis went to Brantford. Scott Woods is the interim chief. How's that process coming along?
It's just beginning.
Okay.
So the police commission is tasked with hiring a new chief. They're going to have a very planned out hiring process.
What are you looking for, though, in a police chief? What kind of qualities?
Well, I think we want somebody who's tough on crime.
Right.
That would be one of our priorities, given our current situation. Someone who has a thorough and solid understanding of drug addiction. And, you know, our police have said, you know, we can't arrest our way out of this drug issue. When you arrest the drug users themselves, the people on the street, they just go to court and they're out again. Even some of the low-level traffickers they're brought to court and they're out again and back in operation. What we have to do is shut down the supply of drugs. We have to shut down the drug houses, and we have to make sure that the main supply coming into the city is interrupted. And we need to make sure that we're dealing on the other hand with the addicts, and that we're giving them a doorway, a pathway to treatment and recovery.
Mayor Chris Spearman, thanks again for joining me in studio today.
It's always a pleasure, and we're dealing with very complex issues in the city of Lethbridge, but I think we're working with the right people, and we have detailed solutions that we're working on, strategies, working with the provincial government to make sure that we can be successful and Lethbridge can be a safe and clean city that encourages investment now and into the future.
Sounds great. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.